Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. Now I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer. Have a holly jolly...
Okay, I am so excited because I'm going to have two amazing women on my show today called Let's Talk. So they should be arriving pretty soon. And so thank you for having your cup of coffee ready with me, your host, Teresa.
I love that necklace.
I think, who's that from?
Funky Fish.
Funky Fish. And I think one of the girls that she hired with our fundraiser for her made them.
Wow.
Or made some of them.
Is it one piece?
No, they're like 5
bunch
or
of-
something.
okay.
Yeah. Because she had them on this stand, like in her display, and I said, I want that to look like that.
Right.
So with that, I have Terry Ingram here with Be Lydia. Oh my gosh, what an amazing... I don't even like calling it an organization. I think it's just a movement of women who you are, and even men who are called to hospitality, opening up their homes, opening up their hearts to what God has put in them from long ago, you know?
Yes.
And you want to share a bit about how it started? And
Sure. So I had this dream back in March of 2016, which is this year. And I heard over and over, Be Lydia, Be Lydia, Be Lydia, Be Lydia, over and over. And finally, I just asked God to put it in my head and let me remember in the morning because I wanted to go to sleep. And so I woke up the next morning, and then it was like a download from the Holy Spirit where I had 6 pages of notes in my journal with so much detail. And it was about sex trafficking. It was about the refuge. It was about, like serving iced tea or lemonade, and it's so much detail. And none of the sex trafficking was on my radar at all. So I know it for sure it was from God.
wow.
And so I sat on that for a couple months until May, when I saw the movie, the Operation Underground Railroad movie,
A whole bunch
The
of
Abolitionist.
Yes.
So it's an amazing movie about sex trafficking, mostly international, but it completely broke my heart. And the next morning I woke up and just said, God, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it. And from that moment on, my whole world completely changed. And now I have Be Lydia, and we're like a conduit for other anti-trafficking ministries like Adamo, and we help raise money and awareness for sex trafficking.
An incredible support. Incredible movement.
Yes. Now, how did Carissa and... Actually, let me ask this first, Carissa, because some people, believe it or not, may not know about Adamo Group.
Yes.
Although I feel like everyone in my circle does.
Right.
But
That's funny.
can you give us also a quick summary of, how do you do that? If you guys hear her story, it's just incredible.
Terry's, I had a vision one morning before church, and I'd been doing nails for 10 years. I moved here, had put all of that on the shelf, had some personal experiences with women who were being taken advantage of. And then when we moved here, I was staying home with the kids, and one morning before church, I was awake, and I just had this vision, like as if we were watching a Netflix movie. And upstairs, I was training girls to the trade of manicuring, and I knew that they were survivors of sex trafficking. Like in my spirit, I knew it. And then in the next scene downstairs was a nail bar, and then there were like a whole bunch of women. It was just this incredible energy that I could feel and see of women who were working in the nail bar and telling their stories and platformed. And I swore I would never tell anybody. And then that day at church, the pastor Chris said, point number 1, dream big and don't stop dreaming. Well, on my way out that morning, I couldn't find my notebook because I always take notes at church. So I grabbed an old one, and I just drew this squiggly line when I got to church and wasn't even looking up. And the last thing I had written 9 months prior was dream big. And so now I had that vision. The last thing I wrote 9 months ago was dream big. Now it's dream big and don't stop dreaming. I walk out and tell Chance, my husband, the story, and he says, I think you know what you're supposed to do, which was not what I thought he was going to say at all. Like, okay. So, yeah, so then I just started looking into like what the problem looks like really. You know, I had met women who had been taken advantage of, but I wouldn't call them trafficked.
Okay.
And then when I started looking into the problem, I realized one thing that was missing from all of the organizations that were coming together to fight this were providing beds and counseling and services like that, but nobody was training them into a trade. And so once I started telling those organizations this vision, they all just really rallied around. Like the support that we've gotten from the community has been unreal.
I could just sit and listen to both of you, and I wish Paris was here, just so that she could kind of give her vision of what happened with Innocence Thriving and how she was in 5th grade. Do you guys know that story? I know you do, right? A little bit? Okay. But I just think how amazing it is that it doesn't matter. God doesn't care about age. He doesn't care about class. He doesn't care about where we are in our life. He's like, I'm going to do it. But do you want to partner with me? You know, and I think that's been, for me, with Innocence Thriving, I felt like, man, what are we really doing here? You know, like, are we really doing anything? And because we're not going into the brothels, and we're not going into these places and rescuing people, so to speak. But I just keep seeing, but you are going to give a voice to help get those organizations that don't have maybe the overhead to get a marketing campaign together, or, you know. And so I thought, well, I do that anyway. I love to encourage people. I love to celebrate people. So does Paris. So that's where Innocence Thriving came in. And that's why if you ever see where we're always like shouting out for Be Lydia or Adamo or Keto Free or these other organizations, you're going to see it's not just because we want to give you Kendra Scott earrings. That's fun, you know, but it's because we want you to go, not just go follow them with a click of a button, but we want you to go research who they are. Go find out what they're about. What started? What was the passion that stirred? Because it may stir you to do something that God's called you. It may not be in the sex trafficking, but it may be something just in your community. It may, I mean, with God, there are no limits. And that's what I love about just hearing y'all's story, is it's right in the middle of your life. So I just want to say thank you to Carissa and Terry for coming to our first like gathering, get together. We're going to do this more often. And again, you're going to be able to see this on their websites, and I'm going to post their websites down below. But as of right now, let me hand them.
Thank you, Chi.
Yes.
Thank you.
Terry. It's the same thing. So go, you guys can open, if you want to open it together. So.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God.
Do you have one?
No.
Oh, you don't?
Oh, me too.
Love. I just told my kids that I wanted a coffee mug for Christmas.
Are you serious?
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I love you.
And I love these chocolates.
I know.
Oh, I know, they're the best.
Yeah. Isn't
So
it cute?
Yes.
We love Magnolia.
I know.
Oh.
Who doesn't? Oh my gosh.
So this is what I like. If you've watched this episode today, we'd love your feedback. They would love your feedback. So please, again, go.
Unless it's bad.
Yeah. Let me rephrrise that.
I'm just
Encouraging feedback.
I'm just kidding.
If you're a troll, we'll pray God blesses you.
Yes.
In Jesus' name.
We also should ask
Yes.
them, because we're going to do this every week.
Okay.
So we should ask them, what do you want to know? Like, what are you
That's
curious
good, Carissa.
about? What, what about either our organizations or the fight against trafficking? What are you curious to learn from
so good.
watching this?
Those are good chocolates. Like I said, dark chocolate and almonds. It's healthy.
Perfect for the diet. It's healthy.
Well, I hope that you had as much fun as I did just getting to hear the heart behind Be Lydia and Adamo Group. Thank you for joining me today on today's episode, and I can't wait for you to join us in the next few days of our continuation of our conversation from today's beautiful flow of just getting to talk to each other. This is what we do. We love having conversation. We hope that you feel part of the conversation. And again, your feedback, your encouraging feedback, maybe if you've learned something you didn't know before, or again, as Carissa said earlier, if you have questions regarding anything that maybe we can answer or talk about in our next conversation on Let's Talk, please post those. Thank you so much again for joining me, Teresa, your host on Let's Talk. Those are good chocolates. Like I said, dark chocolate and almonds. It's healthy.
Perfect for the diet. It's healthy.
Okay, so what were we talking about before?
One practical thing you can do right now. When does that campaign start, Terry?
January 11th.